Hello YouTube, Dave here again, back with another quick pickup video, just some cool things that I've added to my collection over the last little bit. A few different collections actually, so we don't have a ton of stuff here, but I do like making these videos. People seem to enjoy them, and it's always great to see some of the cool things that you guys have picked up over the last little while as well. I know I did one of these pretty recently, but I also do have an update for an upcoming videos on my channel that I do want to discuss as well, so I figured I may as well, do the two things at once, take care of them both in one video. So I'll have the update section sort of at the end of the video, but yeah, let's just, like I said, get right into it. The first thing that I have here, it's not really RPG related, it is connected to another one of my interests or things that, I'm sort of, collecting or passionate about. And that is the WrestleMania 2022 Blu-ray. Now this is something that I didn't think was going to be a thing because late last year it was announced that WWE Home Video wasn't going to be producing DVDs or things along those lines after the Survivor Series, which kind of bugged me because I don't get a ton of the stuff that they put out these days, but I do have every single WrestleMania on DVD, so I want to be able to continue that going forward. So I was at Walmart the other day, and I just happened to see this as I was sort of making my way to check out the video game section. So I was really kind of surprised by this. And they actually also had the DVD version of it, so I don't know if it's something where they're not putting out for everything, but they might do it for the WrestleManias because they're such like big events. I don't know. Either way, I'm cool with it. This was actually a really good WrestleMania this year. Some awesome matches, awesome moments. Seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin come back and actually, take a bump on the concrete was pretty amazing. Just a lot of cool stuff in this one. So I was really happy to have it and be able to find it. And I'm glad that they're still at least putting out WrestleMania. So this is on the Blu-ray version of it. Which is the preferred version for me, at least anyway. So really happy to see that because I thought that I was unable to get these at all going forward. So another thing that I picked up, I did a video on another one of these items just like a couple weeks ago, I think it was, but I ended up picking up a new one here. And this is a figurine of Adorable Power, but this is for the Mimic. So I don't know if Roll Stats is going to watch this video or not, but I am currently running a Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 game, the Savage Tide campaign. And in that, I did introduce a Mimic. Basically, there was this underground area that was sort of waterlogged and abandoned and forgotten about. So there were a bunch of rooms that literally had nothing in them. And all the encounters they had already gone through, so they had this like almost whole other half of this location to explore, and I wanted them to find something. And I remembered back to the Shackled City adventure path, where there in the opening chapter of that adventure there were a pair of mimics, and one of them was actually benevolent and would warn the players that his brother, or this other mimic, who was a lot less kind, would be found somewhere in, further in the dungeon. So I had this sort of mimic that the players encountered, and essentially it was just really super bored. It hadn't seen living creatures in forever, and it was just super excited to actually have people to talk to. And the players kind of adopted it, named it Chesty, and it is sort of their mascot now. So when I was at my local EB Games, I think it's all called GameStop now in Canada. But when I was there, where I bought the Black Dragon figurine of Adorable Power, I saw that they had the Mimic one, and just because of the fact that it is sort of the mascot of my 3.5 group, I had to get the Mimic. So I picked that up as well, and I'll have that on hand when I run my 3.5 games, and I can hold it up on camera whenever Chesty is involved in something. So just some awesome stuff there. All right, another thing that's not really gaming related, but something else again that I'm interested in. I'm, the one of my favorite franchises is the Alien franchise. Over on my Twitch, I'm currently doing a playthrough of Alien Isolation, and I will be uploading more installments of that playthrough on my YouTube channel as well. But recently, Marvel Comics, now that it's all owned, like 20th Century Fox and Marvel and all that stuff is owned by Disney, Marvel started putting out a series of Alien comics. The first set of which was called Alien Bloodlines, and this is the collected like graphic novel, I guess you could say, or the trade, whatever the terminology is. But it takes that first storyline and puts it all into one soft cover, which is awesome. I did get the first issue of this, but there was, I guess there was a mix-up at my local game store. So the fact that I wanted the Alien comics kind of got lost in the shuffle of everything else that was going on. So I only ever got issue 1 and none of the other ones. So now I can actually read the whole story, which is awesome because, like I said, Alien is one of my favorite things. All right, up next we have an item that I received from Paizo, which I completely forgot about. They did reach out to see if I would be interested in doing some videos on it or reviewing it, which I will be doing in the very, very near future. I just haven't had a chance to yet, and it took a little while to get here, but it is a card game that uses the Pathfinder branding. Put out by Paizo, called the Pathfinder Goblin Firework Fight. So this is, like I said, it is a card game, and the idea is to basically you're sort of making like raids, and you're trying to pillage the town of, I think it's Sandpoint? Yeah, Sandpoint. And you're just trying to collect as much stuff as you can. It's still wrapped in the plastic, so I haven't had a chance to even open up the box yet. But it does look very interesting. It takes about half an hour to play, 2 to 4 players, ages 14 up. So, and again, like it's called Goblin Firework Fight, so I was totally on board with that. It also came with this promo card as well, which has Fumbus, which is the Goblin Alchemist from Pathfinder. So it was really cool to see that as well. So I will be including that. I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to keep this pack sealed, but I will be putting it in the box once I get to like the unboxing, reading the rules, and getting to do my review and sort of like how to play video. All right, so last 2 things here, both Pathfinder related, both things that I ended up picking up from stores in my local area. The first one here is the Pathfinder Classics, Pathfinder Lodge. So I do get a fair number of things sent to me automatically from Paizo, but and Pathfinder flip mats are part of the items that I receive. However, the Pathfinder Classics, the flip mat classics, are not included in the subscriptions. So this is something that I had to pick up from my local game store, but when I saw it, I just instantly wanted it. And here we go. So these are the different sides. Like right now, I just don't have enough room on my table to open it up and actually unfold the map and try to get the whole thing on camera. I had a weird, I don't want to say back and forth, but I had a weird comment from someone who claimed that I don't own the maps because I don't open them, even though I try to always explain that I just don't have the room currently to actually open the map up and be able to get it on camera. So what I do instead is I just sort of focus on or zoom in on the different sides of the map so you can see exactly what it looks like all in frame, because these are the exact things that you would see on the maps. But it was just weird to think that because I don't have the room to open them, that somehow I don't own the stuff that's sent to me for review. When stuff gets sent out for a review, it's mine to do with whatever I please. I don't have to send it back. It's just, yeah, it was a weird comment. I'm not sure where that came from, but I do own maps that get sent to me. Like I said, I just don't have room to open things up on camera and try to get a good shot of right now. I need some new bookshelves, and until I can get those, the table that I record on is just filled with books and stuff for videos and stuff that I just don't have room for anywhere else. So that's why I don't open up these maps on video at this point in time. But they're mine. So there you go. And the last thing that I got here, I picked up from Chapters, which is sort of like a large national book chain. in Canada. Every year around your birthday, they send you this promo code that you can use to get 20% off or a certain amount off. I think it's pretty much always 20%. So I decided to take advantage of it this year, and I picked up the Pathfinder Secrets of Magic Pocket Edition. So one of the things that I really want to do for Pathfinder 2e is collect the pocket editions alongside of the full-sized books. Especially if I start running games in public again, the pocket editions are the ones that I'd be more inclined to take with me, simply because they are a lot easier to deal with. So yeah, I have pretty much all of them up to date, except for the Bestiary 3, and I think the Book of the Dead also has a pocket edition that came out or is coming out that I don't currently have. But those are the only two that I'm currently missing. But yeah, for this one, I used the 20% off code because it was coming around my birthday, and I picked this book up. And I will be doing a Secrets of Magic showcase video in the very near future as well, just showing you the different products. There's not a ton really to it, but just show the product line for Secrets of Magic so far. So there you go. So those are the recent pickups that I've made over the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. One thing that was sent to me, some things that I just ended up picking up, over the course of the last little while. And yeah, some cool stuff overall. So that was the pickup portion. Up next, I just want to talk just a little bit about a future video or a couple of videos that I will be working on the channel here very, very shortly. The first one is the Pathfinder guns, the guns deck and the gunslinger character. Right now, I don't feel really comfortable making videos talking about like guns or characters that use guns, even in a fantasy setting. It's something that I will do probably in a couple of weeks' time, but I did the Inventor and the Gears deck, but just right now with real world events kind of going on, it just doesn't feel like the right time to introduce like those classes in my videos. But I will be doing those, like I said, and you give it a couple of weeks, and then I should be, back to making those videos. So just because I had mentioned before I was going to do the Gunslinger right after the Inventor, that's just going to get pushed back just a little bit for the foreseeable future. But I will be doing those videos at some point in the future. Also, I had a poll up on my channel for the next Through the Ages videos to work on. Through the Ages is a series that I really enjoy doing. And like I said, one of the things that I really wanted to focus on in 2022 is making videos that I make because it's a subject that I'm just interested in, that I enjoy or that I want to talk about. And I do get a lot of stuff sent to me for review, and like every month I'm getting stuff sent, and it's starting to pile up. But just one of the things that kind of fell by the wayside was working on videos that I wanted to make just for fun, which was one of the earlier purposes of this channel. I don't get me wrong, I appreciate all the support from the game companies that send me the products. It really does mean a lot to me, and I'm going to try to get to as much of it as I can. But I don't want it to come at the expense of subjects that I just thought would be fun to talk about. So I put up a poll for what the next video in the series should be, and there were 4 different options. The bottom 2 were like discussing the history of artifacts, and not like a specific artifact, but just the way that artifacts would be designed in the various editions. That one didn't do too well in the polls, which is fine. Another one was like history of dragon stats throughout different editions. And that one also, didn't do too well in the polling either, but that's fine because I really only want to talk about old school BECMI basic expert breath weapons, because I thought that was really interesting the way that they handled those in those versions of the games. So I just already did a video just really quickly talking about that. It was about like a 5-6 minute video, but it was, again, it was a lot of fun to do, and it did get some really positive response, so I do appreciate that. So there are some subjects that might not make for like a series of videos that I might just do a couple of like quick videos on, just for some interesting sort of quirky rule systems or mechanics from older versions of role-playing games. So that's something that I might be working on. But the top 2 subjects were ones that I really want to make videos on. The first one was the history of the evolution of the Ranger class. Now, Rangers are my favorite fantasy classes in RPGs, period. Even though objectively they haven't really been the best from edition to edition. But it's one of my favorite classes. And when I started getting into the class-based ones, like the Barbarian and the Bard, um, there's some classes that just honestly aren't going to be that interesting to talk about over the course of several editions. Like things like the Wizard honestly hasn't changed that much. The Cleric really hasn't changed that much. Again, the most interesting thing that I can think of when it comes to a Cleric is the way that they were done again in Basic Expert, as well as the introduction of domain spells in 3rd edition D&D. But those are 2 versions, and then everything else is just kind of not that intriguing to me. So I might focus on the specifics, but not every single class in like the player's handbooks. But the Ranger class is one that I really wanted to do. The other video was the evolution of the magic missile spell over the course of different editions of the Dungeons & Dragons game, because there are some very interesting changes to that spell over the course of like 0 edition through Basic Expert, AD&D 3rd edition, 4th edition, and now into 5th edition, as well as Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition. So it's a really interesting, intriguing spell that I think would be a fun subject for a video. It would only be like a single video. I don't think I would want to make multiple videos because it's very short descriptions of the spell. But those were the 2 that were like the top 2, and statistically they were both tied at like 42% of the vote, and they were always within a couple of points of each other, and they would sort of trade back and forth. Like at first the Magic Missile one was winning, and then the Ranger class, and then Magic Missile, and they're like right now, as of the day that I'm recording this, they are tied at 42% each. So what my plan is to do a singular video on the history of Magic Missile, which I'll be doing later this week. So that should be out in just a few days' time. And then the next week, I will be starting my look at the Ranger class, starting with 1st edition AD&D and going through probably 1st and 2nd edition, in the first video, and then like 3rd and 3.5, and then the 4th edition and 5th edition Ranger will sort of be done together, and then the Pathfinder one. So that will actually be a video series. There'll be 4 or 5 parts to it, but they are, like I said, they're videos that I really enjoy doing. So that's basically the plans, is to delay the Gunslinger class for Pathfinder 2nd edition and the Guns deck for a little while, for at least 2-3 weeks. And then in the meantime, though, do the history of Magic Missile, and then start my video series on the history of the Ranger class. So there you go. So that's the update. Like I said, those are some of the items that I picked up recently. So let me know in the comments below what are some of the cool things that you guys have found and added to your collections of the last few weeks. Also, if you have a suggestion for video topics that I could do, like the Through the Ages, looking at its evolution over the course of different editions of D&D, let me know that in the comments below as well. I always appreciate your guys' suggestions. And I think like the Magic Missile one, I can't remember if that was actually a suggestion that someone had come up with, or if they just mentioned like the idea of comparing spells from different versions. But Magic Missile is the one that I want to start with, because it's actually kind of interesting how it's changed. Anyway, thank you guys again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.